Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a truly ancient expedition, you could say.
We are.
We're delving into this remarkable text from the 4th century by St. Athanasius.
On the Incarnation of the Word. It's a foundational Christian work, really.
Absolutely. And our source material is, well, excerpts from that specific text.
Right. And our mission, if you like, is to unpack Athanasius's core argument, which is essentially how the historical appearance of the Word of God, the Logos, how that fundamentally changed the world.
And how he uses those changes as proof, right? Proof of Christ's divine nature.
Exactly. He points to these, well, observable shifts across cultures, societies, things he claimed people could actually see happening.
So this isn't just a history lesson then. It's more like a master class in ancient argumentation.
That's a good way to put it.
Seeing how he builds this case based on these changes in the world around him. Okay, let's unpack this. So Athanasius makes these, well, incredibly bold claims about things that he says just stopped or changed dramatically.
Stopped happening, yeah. After the Word of God, as he puts it, came among men.
And what's really striking is how he points to these changes as direct evidence. Like, look, here's the proof.
Absolutely. He kicks off with the abandonment of idol worship.
Right.
He observes that, before Christ, every place had countless different idols, gods that couldn't even convince the next town over to worship them.
A very fragmented landscape.
Totally. But then Christ comes, and Athanasius claims he persuades the entire world to worship one Lord himself, and through him, the Father.
Which, for that time, is a massive, massive claim.
Revolutionary.
Then he moves on to the oracles. He says they just ceased.
Yes, the cessation of oracles. He lists the famous ones: Delphi, Dodona, Goetia, Lycia, Libya, Egypt.
All those places that were, central to ancient life and decision-making, considered truly marvelous.
And his statement is pretty stark. He says, since Christ has been proclaimed, their madness too has ceased, and there is no one left among them to give oracles at all.
Wow. So he's saying their power just evaporated.
Essentially, yes. For Athanasius, it's like a new, stronger power, simply made the old ones obsolete. It challenged that whole spiritual authority structure.
Okay, and then it gets even maybe stranger. He talks about demons.
Right. The deceitfulness and madness of demons falling under contempt.
He says they used to deceive people, inhabiting springs, rivers, trees, stones.
This idea of localized demonic influence was common.
But then Athanasius says, what?
He makes this crucial point. Quote, by the sign of the cross, if a man will but use it, he drives out their deceits.
So a direct countermeasure.
Exactly. And he extends this to magic, too. He says the practice and theory of magic were confuted and entirely destroyed by the manifestation of the Word.
And he wasn't just theorizing, was he? He kind of dared people.
He did. He challenges his listeners, basically saying, go on, try it. Use the sign of the cross. Use Christ's name when you encounter demonic fraud or oracles or magic. See what happens.
Like an empirical test.
Almost, yeah. See how the demons flee, how magic is confounded.
So a new kind of power is demonstrated. And he contrasts this with, well, the intellectual heavyweights of the day, the Greek philosophers.
Oh, definitely. He's quite dismissive of the wisdom of the Greeks, as he puts it.
What's his take?
He says it became foolish when the true wisdom of God, meaning Christ, revealed himself.
How so?
Well, he points out that for all their brilliant writing and rhetoric, the philosophers couldn't even convince, a handful of their own neighbors about fundamental things like immortality or living virtuously.
That's quite the comparison.
It is. And then he contrasts that with Christ, using, as he says, common speech through followers who weren't necessarily eloquent.
Men not clever with their tongues.
Right. And yet Christ convinced whole assemblies of people all the world over to despise death, focus on eternal things, ignore earthly glory, and aspire only to immortality.
So it's about the sheer scale and depth of the impact. A totally different kind of persuasive power.
Exactly. A profound shift that Athanasius is claiming was visible to everyone.
Okay, so we've covered the things Athanasius says vanished, the idols, the oracles, the magic. But his argument has another side, doesn't it?
It does. He pivots from what disappeared to what appeared. The unique works of Christ.
Things nobody else could do.
Precisely. And he throws down the gauntlet, asking his audience directly, who then is this Christ and how great is he, who by his name and presence overshadows and confounds all things on every side, who alone is strong against all and has filled the whole world with his teaching.
He's really pushing them there.
Yeah.
And he anticipates objections, right?
Systematically. He tackles the common accusations head on.
Like what?
Well, if Christ were just a man, how could he possibly be stronger than all the gods the Greeks worshipped? If he was just a magician, wouldn't his arrival have strengthened magic, not destroyed it?
Good point.
And if he were some kind of demon, how could he drive out all the other demons? Wouldn't he just work with them or against some of them?
So, through this process of elimination,
he arrives at his conclusion. Christ must be something more. He must be the Son of God, existent word and wisdom and power of the Father.
it's a logical progression within his framework. But again, he brings it back to concrete actions, doesn't he? Observable deeds.
He does. He insists on comparing Christ's actions to others, almost daring you to find a match.
What are some examples he uses?
Well, he asks things like, what man that ever was formed a body for himself from a virgin only, or healed so many diseases, or restored sight to someone born blind?
Really specific, unparalleled acts.
Yes. And he draws these sharp contrasts, like with Asclepius, the Greek god of healing.
Right.
Asclepius was deified for finding herbs, for discovering cures. But Christ, Athanasius argues, didn't just find cures. He fashioned essential being and restored to health the thing that he had formed. It's about creation and restoration, not just medicine.
A deeper level of power.
Exactly. Or Hercules, famous for fighting monsters and men. But the word, Christ, drove away from men diseases and demons and even death itself. A different kind of battle, a different kind of victory.
He even contrasts Dionysus, doesn't he?
Yeah, the god of wine and revelry associated with drunkenness. Athanasius contrasts him with Christ, who taught temperance. It's about the moral impact, too.
And that leads into the societal and personal shifts he highlights, beyond the physical miracles.
Absolutely. He asks, who among men taught about virginity and made it seem achievable, not impossible.
He even mentions children making promises of virginity.
Children not yet of lawful age, he says, promising something that transcends the law. He sees this as evidence of a new kind of inner strength, a new moral possibility being introduced into the world.
And this transformative power, he argues, reached even the most, the societies considered most savage at the time.
Yes, that's a key part of his argument. He talks about Christ's teaching penetrating groups like the Scythians, Ethiopians, Parthians, Armenians.
Peoples often stereotyped by Greeks and Romans as
being obsessed with magic, enslaved by fear of demons, savage in their habits. That was the common perception.
And Athanasius claims Christ's teaching changed them.
Radically. He describes these groups barbarian, heathen folk who were previously always at war with each other, cruel even to their own families, needing swords just to travel safely.
A pretty grim picture.
Very. But then, he says, after encountering the school of Christ, they laid aside their murderous cruelty. They became war-minded no more.
That's a huge societal transformation he's claiming to have witnessed.
It's massive, and he connects it directly to that famous prophecy from Isaiah.
The one about beating swords into plowshares.
Exactly. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into sickles, and nation shall not take sword against nation, neither shall they learn any more to wage war.
So he's saying, look, this ancient prophecy, it's happening now.
Precisely. He argues that these same barbarians who are savage when worshiping idols become peaceful farmers and prayers when they hear Christ's teaching. They turn from fighting each other to fighting, metaphorically, the devil and demons with self-control and integrity.
And for him, that's the ultimate proof.
It's powerful proof of Christ's Godhead, yes. Because, he argues, Christ taught people something truly transformative, something they could never learn from their idols.
So bringing it all together, what's the lasting point for Athanasius? What's the so what of all this?
It really comes down to endurance, doesn't it? What lasts versus what fades.
Right. He argues that the persistence of Christ's impact, while everything else from that old world was crumbling or changing, is the key evidence.
He puts it quite directly. Human things cease, and the fact of Christ remains.
Therefore,
it is clear to all that the things which cease are temporary, but that he who remains is God and very Son of God, the sole begotten Word.
It's an argument from permanence.
And he insists this isn't just ancient history. He says Christ is, even now, invisibly exposing every man's error and single-handed is carrying off all men from them all. It's an ongoing reality for him.
And he points to contemporary evidence, too, things people could see in the 4th century.
Yes, the visible proofs, as you say. He points to the virgins of Christ, the young men practicing chastity, the martyrs facing death with gladness and assurance of immortality.
Tangible results, continuing in his own time.
And I love his analogy about the waves of the sea.
Oh, right. You can't count them all.
Exactly. He says trying to grasp all of Christ's achievements is like trying to count every wave. You just can't take it all in. There's always more beyond what you can comprehend.
It speaks to the sheer scale of the impact he perceived.
And he uses that metaphor of the sun rising, too.
Dispelling darkness.
Right. The divine epiphany of the Word of God has taken place, he says, and because of that light, the darkness of idols prevails no more. The old ways just couldn't withstand it.
He also uses that analogy of the true king, doesn't he?
Yeah, like when impostors have been ruling and then the real king finally shows up.
But what happens then?
The impostors are immediately shown up by his presence, and people realize they were misled and abandon them for the true king.
So Christ's arrival, for Athanasius, exposes the falsehoods and draws people to the truth.
That's the core of it. His presence redefines everything.
And the ultimate point of this incarnation, this divine presence in human form.
Well, Athanasius sums it up by saying that through it all, through Christ's life and death, deathlessness has been made known to us, and the very nature of God, the mind whence all things proceed, has been revealed through his word, Christ himself.
He endured shame, Athanasius says, for our sake, to bring us immortality, healing us through his own impassibility.
A profound theological conclusion built on those observed changes.
So, reflecting on all this, Athanasius builds quite a case, doesn't he? Based on what he saw as observable change, persistent impact, all pointing towards Christ's divinity.
It's a fascinating argument from antiquity, and it does leave you thinking. Well, if Athanasius is right, even in principle, if the presence of the divine can reshape culture, morality, spiritual perception so dramatically, what might that imply about the forces, maybe unseen forces, shaping our own world right now?